thinking back to when I first saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 in theaters, one opening night, and it was just a huge crowd pleaser. Everybody had such a great time, lots and lots of laughs, and if you actually want to hear that opening night, I captured the audience's reaction, and it was just super fantastic. If you want to check that out, you can go to the theater experience, always linked in the description. Audience reactions for a bunch of other Marvel films and more films past that. It's just a great time to get to hear the audience cheer, laugh, applaud. It's great. You should really check it out if you're into that sort of thing. So now we're going to jump into Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and the thing with this was, watching many people's reviews pointing out its flaws, getting the criticisms going. I initially was starting to go downhill because when I first saw it and walked out of the theater, I was like, that was better than the first one. It was just so good, and that was probably fueled by the entertainment the audience had, as well as myself, and, seeing it for the first time, it being so new. I mean, to be fair, this is also coming from the guy who initially thought The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was the greatest Spider-Man film ever made, and I deeply apologize for ever saying that. If it is your favorite, that's more power to you, but that's just a great example of walking out so full of hype and still being fresh off that hype. But I am pleasantly surprised and happy to say that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is not only as good as the first one, but it actually is better than the first one. And that's not to say this is not an argument of like which one is the best versus the worst. It's never that. It's never this whenever I compare sequels, because this not all the time, because when it comes to Guardians of the Galaxy, both are exceptional films. They are phenomenal. I cannot stress that enough. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 is so beautiful, and now it's become very personal, or with events that have happened in my life. But then you get to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and you see like they've not only recaptured what they have in the first film, but they've improved on things. Like, it's shot better, I've noticed. The colors are more vibrant. It's a lot more fun and entertaining, I feel. Like, there's still loads of dramatic elements that I think were actually fleshed out a lot more and way better this time around because we already have the characters established. It's just the sequel benefits from already being established, and I super love that because you follow the characters of Peter Quill, Gamora, Drax, Rocket, Groot, and they just expand their characters very well. Like, you get the heart with Drax, and especially when you place them with Mantis, a newcomer who I very much enjoyed in this film, and I'm so happy she's going to be in Avengers Infinity War because she was great, and honestly, she has very capable powers. Her empathic abilities are very strong, especially when they were up against Ego, whom we will talk about in a bit, but I want to tackle the main Guardians. Let's go ahead and go over to Nebula, who was really great. She was more fleshed out. She wasn't just the bad guy henchman, daughter of Thanos. No, you're like really exploring, like, remember, she's the daughter of Thanos. She's gone through so much vigorous torture, and it's very much fleshed out in this, and she reconciles with Gamora, which is great, and it's just so strong, and it's set up beautifully to go into Infinity War, and it's going to be the best. Star-Lord, of course, is back, Peter Quill himself, and it's just, his character is, of course, funny, and it's nice, and it's just so good, especially compared to going against Ego, his father, and, there's a lot of drama that unveils there, so much so that it's just like, when you first see it, it's like, oh, it's so great that he has his father back, and then it's revealed that Ego killed Peter's mother, which is awful, and it's the worst thing, and he had the most appropriate reaction I have ever seen in a film. Whenever somebody has heard a news and they responded to something, Peter Quill responded the best ever in any situation that could have been handled. I'm immediately just pulling out the blasters, taking them out. Most appropriate reaction ever captured in cinema. And there's so many great things like Rocket, he's always been so insecure with himself that he's always just bullying all over to others, and it's transferred to show that it's the same with Yondu. They've had the similar situations, going through life, and it's great that they've made a bond, and Yondu is just so good in this film, and you just appreciate his character more and more. You go back to the first one, which is what I did, and just knowing the deeper character Yondu, it really does improve the original. Like, the sequel actually improves the original with what it does with the characters, where it goes, and the knowledge you have of them after it's been expanded, and that's what a sequel should do. It's just so well. This is the epitome of a perfect sequel. It's just so well done, and like I said, the colors are vibrant. I think the visual effects are some of the best Marvel has ever had. It's amazing. I don't really ever see how somebody could say that CGI didn't work. No, you can't say that. It is way too good to say that. And there's so many great cameos, like Sylvester Stallone, while he has a small role in it, he actually, like, while he was on screen giving his lines, I really felt the history between him and Yondu, and I thought it was just so well done. I would love to see his character come back, honestly. And that is teased later in the end credit scene, which we will get to. But I was just so fascinated to see that Sylvester Stallone wasn't doing a phoned-in performance. This wasn't a cheap cameo. This had emotional significance, and I loved it so very much. And another big thing with the characters is Groot, Baby Groot, which some awful information that came out from James Gunn is the fact that Groot died in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, and this is actually Groot's offspring. It's not the original Groot, it's Son of Groot, which sounds like an awesome rubber suit monster type of old Toho Godzilla film that I would love to watch, Son of Groot. But all seriousness, they handle it so well. The fact that he is a baby and a child, and it's just this whole film has a very parental overtone to it that is fantastically captured. And when you go through films, and especially like these very well made superhero films, like they have deeper meaning, especially in Guardians of the Galaxy, that way until you live it through life, you can't really feel the appreciation of emotions that were created. Like the taking care of a child, like I've helped raise my nephew of the last few years, and he's just been such a great little guy. He's just somebody I love deeply in this world. I would always want to protect him, and that's very much transferred and captured in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 with Baby Groot, and it was just so beautiful. I loved it. It's just, this film is so good. It's incredible. It's just so full of emotion. And the thing with this, and I would feel to also say this about Thor Ragnarok, is while there's tons and tons and tons of humor spread throughout the film, these are types of films that very much are worthy of multiple viewings, because once you get past the humor and the jokes and you've already heard them, and you can go ahead and get past them and focus on the deeper things, instead of laughing over certain things, you start to hear the deeper dramatic elements of it, and they come across. I do feel like Ragnarok did do that, as well as here in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and we'll talk about that more in Thor Ragnarok. But here, it was just done so well. There's so many beautiful moments, building the chemistry between characters, romance, parentage, everything. It's impeccable. It's just so good. I do think it is better than the first film, and I think it is one of the top of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And like I said, I will unveil my ranking once Avengers Infinity War comes out, and in the review of that, I will unveil the ranking of all 19 Marvel Cinematic Universe films. But until then, just let you guys know that this is above Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Both fantastic films. James Gunn is knocking it out of the park, and the fact that he's collaborated with the Russo brothers on Avengers Infinity War only gives me more excitement to see the returning of all these characters paired up with previous characters that we've gotten to know over the course of about 14 to 15 films, is it now? So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the end credit scenes. Arguably, I would just go ahead and play the entire end credits, because not only are there 5 end credit scenes, but the fact that there's little bits of entertainment just spread out through all of them, writing of yearbook type style, self-made constellations, secret I Am Groots in the credits that transfer back into the real names, and just like the dancing and everything. There's a cameo of Jeff Goldblum's Grandmaster from Thor Ragnarok if you're quick enough to catch it. It's great. The whole credits themselves are nice, and the music's great, and Guardians Inferno, sung by David Hasselhoff, is great, and he had a great cameo. It's just so funny. It's great, and it's just wow. But I will be focusing on the individual end credit scenes. First off, after you see, which I gotta commend this film, first of all, that it didn't end with a big triumphant joke or a big wow, we did it, we saved the day, like you would get from Avengers or anything, which I got also, side note to the side note, the music have been fantastic in both Guardians of the Galaxy films. Not just the pop soundtracks, but the orchestra, the musical score composed It's beautifully done. I do feel that the Guardians have the second best music after the Avengers. They actually do have a definitive theme, and while it is extended, in the first film it's extended off of the Avengers theme, this one has it come into its own, and it's fantastic. And getting to my main side point is that this film didn't end super triumphant. It ended very sad with the death of Yondu, and it was just very, very heartfelt. It was done so beautifully, and like the final shot before the end credit scenes is Rocket shedding a tear, and it cuts to black. Guardians of the Galaxy will return. Like, that is super powerful. You're not going for like the big triumphant moment. It's just, wow, we've survived this. Here's to hoping we survive another day. Let's honor our fallen friend. That's it. And yeah, that's how it would be. Like, not every time it could be like, yeah, we made it, we did it. Like, you're gonna lose someone sometime doing what you do, and it's happened today, and we're gonna deal with it the appropriate way it should be dealt with. Super good. So as for the first end credits scene, we actually see that, what is his name, Kraglin, played by Sean Gunn's brother. I thought he was great, man. Honestly, I thought he was great in this film. I want him to come back in Avengers Infinity War. If he pops up, I will be so happy, because he's on the ship with the Guardians, he's with them. So I hope he pops up in Avengers Infinity War. I know he's not like a big name Guardian, and whenever you see the Guardians of the Galaxy, you do see the core members and Mantis, but you don't see Kraglin. I hope he comes back, because he was fantastic. I loved it. And he's like trying to work with the arrow with the Yondu's fin, and he stabs Groot, or no, not Groot, Drax, which Drax was super indestructible in this film. I know it was for pure humor, but oh my god, it was funny though. That was a great little funny moment. Next we have all the individual core members of the Ravengers, who were, my understanding from the comics, the very first members of the Guardians of the Galaxy, which I think is really cool, and I would love to see him come back, because I know that's supposed to be a setup to explore deeper. You could do many Guardians of the Galaxy sequels like you're doing with the Avengers sequels. Like, the rosters will change up, and these could become core members of the Guardians of the Galaxy. And I would love to see them integrated with the current guys we have, and even if like some die off, like if you have new people come in like we have with the Avengers, I think it could be really good. I honestly would love to see them return. Like, again, Sylvester Stallone was great, and there was one of these people who, like, they made a thumbs up out of what looks like the type of magic you'd see Doctor Strange use. So I don't know if that's actually like a real connection they've made there, but if it's not, that's fine. But if it is, that's interesting, and I would love to see if that plays out in the future of the Guardians of the Galaxy sequels, if that guy is actually tapping into the sorcery, mystic arts, magic. That'd be really cool to find out. The third end credit scene is very cool because it deals with Aisha, who I didn't tackle much on in this review, but she was a pretty formidable foe. I thought, just from the trailers, I thought she was going to be our main villain. Didn't know Ego was going to go bad, and a little annoyed that Kurt Russell didn't get to be a good guy, because he's so charming. But it's fine. Aisha was a pretty good threat, and I love the arcade style they had. But in this end credit scene, you find out that she's created a new birthing pod, and they've crafted this higher being that they've never crafted before, and she's gonna call him Adam, which is Adam Warlock, which I'm not overly deep into the knowledge of Adam Warlock into the comics, but I know he played a huge role in Avengers Infinity War, and I don't know if he's going to pop up in Infinity War as an end credit scene, or maybe pop up in Avengers 4. I think Avengers 4 would be the best bet. If he does show up at all, maybe he'll pop up in... No, he can't pop up in Captain Marvel, never mind, that doesn't make sense. Unless, you know, you come to end Captain Marvel in present day, and then you get Adam Warlock coming in as end credit scene. They're both gonna head off to Avengers 4. Who knows? The possibilities are endless with these comic book films. I'm just excited for all of this, and Adam Warlock, because I know he does wield the Infinity Gauntlet at a point, and I believe he defeats Thanos in a way at some point, and I just know there's so much, like, I think he gets trapped in the Soul Stone. I've just heard so many comic things, but it's just really cool, and I cannot wait to see how that goes down. Fourth end credit scene is great because you get to see what James Gunn calls adolescent Groot, not yet teenage Groot. However, it's just way easier to say teenage Groot, so I'm just going to say that. You see teenage Groot, and Star-Lord walks in, and it's just like, it's again with this whole parentage thing, like, oh, clean up your room, man. This place is awful. Pick up your vines. I'm tripping over them. Stop playing that mind-numbing game. It's just super funny. It's great. I loved it. It was super cool, and it's just, you know, to show the passage of time. You know, like somebody grows a beard, to show the passage of time. Groot's grown up. show the passage of time. Because Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and 2 do take place a few months in between each other, which means Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, the events of it, before these end credit scenes, did happen in 2014, per the kind of MCU timeline we're working with, or whenever Guardians of the Galaxy, but it was 2014 when you go off of when it took place. So that would be before Age of Ultron, I do believe, before the events of that even happening. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 happened, and while I could have done Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and 2 back-to-back, I just wanted to do these theatrically like I would any other franchise, so that's why we're doing it in this order. But it was just really cool to see Teenage Groot. And a side note, back with the Adam Warlock thing, since this was back in 2014 and way time has passed, Adam could have come into his own and officially come in by Avengers 4 and step in with the conflict with Thanos. So that's a really cool thing. And the final end credits scene is great because you get a double dose of Stan Lee cameo. You get to see him talking with the Watchers. They kind of just leave him, and he's just like a normal astronaut, or so it seems. Like, really, he's a reporter for the Watchers. And in his cameo earlier, you do get to see how he was saying he was a Federal Express man, which is his cameo in Captain America Civil War. And it just birthed an amazing theory that I really hope becomes true one day, especially with the interdimensional traveling and that we've established with Doctor Strange, is that Stan Lee reports to the Watchers of different universes. This is the rumor, that to different universes, which means every Stan Lee cameo you've ever seen, whether it be in the Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films or the X-Men films, like, it's all connected. He's been playing the same character, and it connects every Marvel film that's ever existed into one big multiverse, which that's genius if that turns out to be true. And there's no reason to say it's not. Like, if you go up to a filmmaker and they say that's not their intention, they're the writers of the canon, man. They can make it true. And I know, like, the final word would come from Kevin Feige, but you could essentially say this is legit. The multiverse is a thing, especially since we're potentially getting the rights back to X-Men and Fantastic Four, and we have a whole Spider-Man. That means everything that's come across and existed, it could work out. We could make this a huge multiverse. It would certainly help with Doctor Strange opening up stuff in other dimensions, and would prevent recastings, which I think would be great, because many like the X-Men universe, while they've had their ups and downs in the franchise, their castings have been very great, and I wouldn't want to see a lot of them recasted, especially like Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, which I know he's done, but like, he said he'd be up for coming back into the Avenger world. There's so many possibilities, guys. Let me just say, I am so happy that I have made this review and actually delved into everything, because when I went through Age of Ultron, I was kind of just retelling the movie and saying how I liked it, but this has officially become like a 20-minute review. And just, I gotta say, thank you guys so much for sticking around to hear this, because I loved this film so much. It killed it. James Gunn killed it. It was so good. I cannot wait for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I cannot wait for Avengers Infinity War to see him come back. This is just an amazing sequel. Go check it out if you haven't in a while. Pop in your Blu-ray, go on Netflix, it's available there as well. Rent it if you need. It's just so good, and a great double feature. Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, fantastic. Go watch it again. That being said, guys, come back every Monday at 1 p.m. for a new review of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We're in April. Avengers Infinity War is almost out. It's almost time, guys, for the Avengers to assemble. That being said, if you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe if not already, and that being said, I hope you have a great day. May the Force be with you, always.